Hello, hello, hello. This is our first collaboration for Relayshons. We're here with King Crooke.
King Crooke in the house, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, everyone?
We're ready, to address some things about, relations in this world. So let's just get into it.
We're going to have an amazing conversation. Let's go.
Yes.
What do you have for me?
So they say humility and gratitude are encouraged behaviors in our society, but why do we project pride, confidence, and confrontation as negative behaviors? Aren't we in a combination of all the things, and isn't the value in balance? So let's talk about it.
Well, you want me to start off first? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
Kick it off.
So humility, gratitude is definitely some of the things that we encourage in all of our people, in all of our kids, adults, everyone. We should all have those traits. Normally, however, we use them to make people very passive and docile and have them be more energized towards working on themselves and not necessarily working on problems. That's where the other characteristics, which you mentioned, become a positive and not looked at as a negative. When you have pride, when you have self-assurance and you know who you are, you can use that as a positive thing to have your goals crushed, not just attack them, crush them.
You gotta crush
and
it.
You gotta have that confidence. You gotta have that mentality in order to even get up in the morning to do it. Because there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of things that can hold you back and can stop you from doing what you are trying to do. And the pride, the sense of I can and I will and I must. In order for you to have that mentality, you need that aggressive nature to yourself, or aggressive nature to your goals, so that you can attack them with the necessary strength you need. Otherwise, anybody can destroy your dreams. Anybody can destroy your thoughts and what you're trying to accomplish with the right words and the right actions. In order for you to stop that and for you to push through all of that, you need to have an amazing level of fucking confidence. That's what I think.
Right. And so let's define this a little bit. What does it mean to be aggressive? So Webster says that hostile or violent behavior or attitudes towards another, readiness to attack or confront, which is why we think that this is negative, right?
Right.
And so confrontation is a hostile or argumentative meeting or situation between opposing parties. And then there's this word that I like to call assertiveness in between, which I think is like the in between our aggression and confrontation,
right? Which
is confidence and forceful behavior. So that one's like a little bit more not as negative. So how do you think this is being confrontational, being valuable in our daily interactions with each other?
I can give you a perfect example that I'm going through right now. It's around that time of the year in my company where we get to negotiate with the owner. I'm in management position, so I negotiate directly with the owner. And in that negotiation, he's a very upfront guy. He'll look at you in the eyes and he'll ask you, what will make you happy, that type of thing. But then he always, whatever number you tell him, he'll always say, well, let's meet halfway and then let's see what happens in a few months.
Right, which is like you aim high
exactly.
So that they could go down in the middle.
What happens is that if you're assertive of the number you deserve, you're going to push back and actually tell them, well, I feel like, and explain yourself on what you feel to try to get a little more. And here's where assertive takes place. If you're assertive on what you want, you'll have the confidence to actually voice that and tell them, look them right in the eye, right back, and say, well, I don't feel comfortable with that number. How about we work towards this? And you explain yourself in a confident way. That takes assertiveness. When people aren't confident, let's say you're having a bad day, you had a bad week, there's something in your head, you might take his word and say, well, let's meet you halfway and let's see in a few months, we'll talk again in a few months, which never happens. It turns into another year.
Right.
So now the difference between you getting what you wanted in year 1 isn't going to happen. Now you're going to have to wait till year 3 to get it because he's going to slowly give you what you want at his pace.
Right, instead of yours.
And if you're assertive on what you deserve and what you think you want, you're not going to let that happen. Or at least you're going to work that down towards your timeline. And that's where, this is a perfect example in the whole men versus women's situation, men are very disagreeable, meaning we want to argue and we will tell you no, even if we don't know why.
Right.
But I'm going to say like, no.
But no is the first initial
That's it. It's the first thing. No, and I don't want that and I want more. Whereas traditionally, this is traditional. I'm saying traditional. And women traditionally have been very agreeable. And that's something that in that negotiation, when you're trying to get something out of someone else, you want to be disagreeable. Right. Not disrespectful, but you want to be disagreeable so that you can get to the conversation where he feels pushed a little bit and he wants to settle. So that he'll be like, okay, let's give you this.
Right, let's at least compromise.
You want to put him in that position, even if he feels a little uncomfortable with you. Whereas some people might say, okay, let's take what you're offering me just to leave the meeting in a happy, everybody's good, shake your hand type of thing. And I've had that situation where I've had conversations with an owner or in my previous job, my manager, and I've left the conversation thinking, well, I left that meeting happy knowing that everyone was happy. But then at the end of the day, I didn't get what I wanted. I just left happy because everyone was happy in the meeting.
Right, so you should be happy too.
And exactly. I was agreeable. I wanted everything to be okay. So I was like, yes, let's do that, whatever. And I didn't get what I wanted. So that's where I take assertiveness to an aggressive level where you have to be confident to say, you know what, no, this is not what I want. Let's talk about this and that and the third and keep the conversation going. Mm-hmm. And that's where assertiveness for me, this particular example, takes hold.
I as a woman being in corporate America, I worked in many big companies, very high name companies, and I always had to stand up for myself. And what happens is that women like me in these types of environments that speak up for themselves, they're titled a bitch, right? It's like, oh my God, you're such a bitch, right? Because it's almost not okay for me to be a woman who understands her worth. So Absolutely, it's like, well, you just want to confront it. Oh, you're complaining about things, right? It's complaining. It's, no, I know what I deserve. This is what I'm bringing to the table, and I want to be compensated properly, right? And I lead those conversations early. Like, let's talk about this now. Like, before even now, as I interview for a new job, any new role, I would say, like, okay, so what is the plan for the next year to 2 years?
Exactly. And how is this? How do I fit into this? Yeah.
Right. Do you provide bonuses? What is that percentage of? Like, asking the questions ahead of time so that they can kind of understand what you're coming into instead of just saying yes to the first offer.
So let me give you, I'm just perceiving something now. So people, I think you have a lot of male energy. I don't want to use the word male because some people might think, why male?
I do have a lot of male energy. Yes.
Okay, good that you're aware of this.
I'm very aware of it.
Okay, good. You think your male energy has helped you professionally?
For sure. Not just professionally, but in my life. I think the fact that I've been able to stand up for myself with my friends, with my family, in all of my environments, the fact that my energy speaks for itself when I walk in the room. Like, yes. I walk in the room and I already feel what I'm giving off by people's expressions towards me.
Yes.
And it could go either way, right? Sometimes I'll go into a room and it's a lot of women in there and they'll respond very like, who the hell does she think she is? You think you're better than everybody, or you're too this, it's already judgment. Sometimes I come in a room and there's a lot of men, like I said, my male energy, and men are like, oh wow, who are you? Right?
Yeah.
And then if it's a man or a woman that's in high power, it's like, oh, how can I challenge her?
Yes.
I'm constantly being challenged by people who are in higher positions as me. But I'm like, okay, but I'm here. I have something to bring to the table, right? And I've said this in meetings.
Yeah.
I've said that, like, okay, if you could, so I'm going to say this, I guess I shouldn't say it, but my boss has this new thing that he'll be like, oh, well, Melissa, like, I could have done that in an hour. So then I started responding, like, okay, so why am I here? If you could do what I'm doing in an hour, then why do you have me here? I should be gone.
All right.
Right? And so automatically when you respond like that, they're like, oh, okay, wait a second. Ha ha ha, let me laugh it off or let me just write that off. But it's like, wait a second, but if you could do what I do, then why are you wasting money on me?
Yeah.
right?
Being direct and having that self-assured energy to you, it's very male energy type.
Right. We associate it to male.
We associate it
energy
like that.
because women are supposed to be usually are a little bit more passive or a little bit more nervous to be up front because they're afraid to be categorized as the bitch or, oh, she's like rude or she's just too much, right? I mean, I grew up that way. Even I've always been this way. So as a kid, my family used to be, she's the one that talks a lot, or she's the one who's going to say something, or, oh my gosh, she's disrespectful. But no, I'm questioning the narrative.
What I agree with you. And to piggyback on that, what I've been getting into reading a lot, it's that there's a certain frequency. I'm into a lot of things, but in terms of energy, there's a certain frequency, there's a certain vibration that you're at. And whenever you walk into a room, you bring that vibration with you. And it's perceived to those that don't know it or that don't know it in a woman as, oh, this is weird. She must be different. She must, I don't know, she talks loud and she's this, she walks with different, she has a bitch face, like shit like that. But it's really just your energy, your vibration is completely different.
Right.
Well, not, I want to say completely different. It's higher. That's what it is. It's higher in terms of what you want to put your point of view into the world. A lot of people are very passive, have a lot of female energy in allowing the world to be brought up to them. And they're mostly consumers. Whereas you're a producer. I can tell, again, I'm telling you, male energy, I can tell because the way you interact and what you're doing, which I know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know me.
It takes a lot of confidence to do what you do for as long as you've been doing it. And I know for a fact, it's not fake. It's completely just what it is. And knowing that and understanding that has given me a very good perspective on myself because my energy goes up and down. It's not as consistent as yours, maybe. I'm sure you have your bad days.
Yeah,
as well.
That's what I'm about to say. Like I have moments I can feel when my vibrations are low.
Yeah.
And I associate it to depression. Like immediately when I start to feel not like myself, I'm like, oh wait, I'm getting too sad. I might go into depression. Let me shake this off.
Let me shake this off. Do something. Get up.
to shake this off, or I'll just really just turn down. Like okay, maybe I just need to sleep. Maybe I need to take some time for myself, re-energize myself. Like, you have to know yourself, right? But I think that some people have it naturally, but I think that we all could tap into that. I think that we're all energy beings, and we could all tap into higher vibrations of ourselves.
You can control them. I told you through Instagram that I was struggling, or through one of my posts, that I sometimes struggled with the idea of male and female energy and which one I should be exercising more. And the reason why it's becoming a little bit more tricky, and this is, again, to do with assertiveness and aggression, is because, for example, in a social scenario, I'm a single man. So every now and then I go out, even with the boys, literally, no point intended. I'm just going to go have a couple of drinks. We're catching up. He's coming from Florida. He's coming from Jersey. Let's meet up for a couple of hours. I may see a young woman, or a young woman may see me, and I know she's seeing me, or there's some sort of mutual visual interest at first, visual cues. But because of the world we live in today, I may not feel the same level of assertiveness about myself. And actually, let me change that up. My aggression towards what I need to do according to society to interact with this woman requires me to have a certain level of assertiveness, which can be deterred by society itself. So, for example, and I've seen myself in this situation a lot, where I want to talk to a woman, or I should say, a woman approaches me, and there's a mutual interest there, but I don't want to overstep by asking questions or being presumptuous, so I'm extra careful. And that's when the extra careful part loses opportunities, because sometimes the natural female energy requires a push. Yeah. She wants me to talk to her.
Right. She's giving you the eye to give you the opening. But
then I'm there thinking, like, is it really? Or should I? It. I'm questioning it because I don't want to come off as the guy that's just aggressive and like whatever. So then, I mean, not every now and then. Sometimes you know. Sometimes you know and you just do it. But sometimes you question it, especially because there's a lot of people and all the guys are thinking the same thing. So you kind of want to just limit yourself and sort of observe, and time goes by and then you lose the opportunity. And that's where you lose yourself in thinking, okay, how should I react? What level of aggression is okay? What isn't? And because there's not a clear boundary now, it gets a little tricky for some people, not for everybody.
Right. And I think it depends on your environment, right? Like, especially in a social environment like a bar or a club or whatever, where you see someone from afar, they're giving you social clues from afar and saying, okay, kind of, she gave you the eye. She wants the opening, but maybe she gave somebody else the eye. Exactly. Or maybe there's somebody else looking at her too that's part of your group. So I think it's really hard for men. I can't even imagine being in your shoes and putting yourself out there so consistently. And as women, as the receivers in these types of cases, it's difficult to understand who's being real or not. Because sometimes, especially in New York City, you're constantly being approached. So it's like, okay, are you approaching because you're really digging me and this a vibe and you caught energy, or are you just doing this to every girl that passes by the street, right? And so now we're questioning too.
Exactly. You're questioning as well.
And that's where the confusion kind of comes in sometimes, and the opportunity is lost on both ends. Because while you're over there thinking about whether you should do it, we're sitting here thinking about whether we should be receiving it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then it's like going back and forth, and now the energy is going back and forth, and it's kind of sitting in the middle as the big elephant in the room. A lot of
like, we don't know what's going on.
Right. And so you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to give up, or you either give up, or she's just like, you know what? I'm out. And kind of it shifts, right?
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Thing. Yeah. So how is being assertive in your life, whether in business or contributing to your success? Like, we talked about being in business and how you have to speak up for yourself. How has that helped you be successful?
Well, in a lot of ways, but for the most part, I work a lot of independent projects. Mm-hmm. So one day I'm doing one thing, and next week I'm doing something completely different that has nothing to do with that one, because it's all project-based, design-based, and stuff like that. What happens in my line of business and outside of what I'm doing right now in my life, I've always been very confident once I know the end goal. Like, once I know exactly what it is that I want to do or that project takes, and I see the end of it, it's going to get done. Because at that point, the process itself is an up and down thing that I can manage. I know what to do. So it's always, I need to see, I'm very visual, I need to see where it is that it's going in order to put all my energy into it. Or I'm just going to go through the motion step by step, which is not going to create the best product or the best service, but it's going to get somewhat the job done. Yeah. Now, some people are called that half-assing, which every now and then,
But I think we're all doing that in life.
We're all doing that. In life, we're doing a lot of that. There's no manual to it, really. Right. And so we're kind of just working our way through things until we find something we really like. Mm-hmm. The people that have the most aggressive nature, or in terms of attacking their goals, are usually happier in terms of their outlook in life. But they tend to get more stuff done. Time seems to work more for them than for people that don't have that. Even though we both have the same 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, you seem to do twice as much as I do. Why? Because they're vibrating higher. They're doing things out of focus instead of out of, let's see if it works.
Right.
And that difference is what's made me somewhat successful. I'm not as successful as I want to be. And knowing that it's still male energy, I need to be more successful. I need to be doing more. For example, they might be listening to this. I have coworkers that are great, amazing people. They're amazing workers, amazing in every single way. But every now and then we get into conversations and they're like, well, maybe you shouldn't say that. Like let's say I'm telling someone else something, correcting them or telling them to do something differently. Well, maybe you shouldn't say that. You should just let them do it, and it's okay. They'll figure it out. But that's not my job. My job is to tell you, because I'm in a position where I have to. Right. So if I don't, I might do it here and there. But if I don't consistently, then you will consistently not do what I want you to do. So then I have to tell you, even if it's uncomfortable.
Right.
Even if it's like, I have to have this conversation with this person. I got to do it. And at some point, I snap and I just go, hey, come here. And I talk to you because I must. And that's it. I don't put any emotions to it. Some other people might.
Right.
And I'm like, you see, you would be very passive when it comes to dealing with this person or when it comes to dealing with this project. And you probably wouldn't see it through. You'll see it through in the next week. Right. Well, I'm going to see it through today.
Like that. You're a doer. Exactly.
And so that's where I think my assertiveness and my aggression has helped me. I think it helps all of us like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And for my case, in my way of life, I practice it more in my private life, even more intense, because I'm the person who's like, I rather regret that I said it than hold those words within me. Most of the time, I'm mad that I didn't say it rather than that I did. Even if it shifted things. Even
it stays in my head.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely bring it home. I'm like, I should have said something.
And you gotta think about it. It bothers you. But some people are like okay with not saying it or they're shy away from it. But to me, it's like, well, if this is how I feel, whether it's right or wrong, this is how I feel. It's important for me to say it.
You have to do it.
And I think it saves time. I'm a Capricorn. What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
You're a Gemini.
That's why I switched.
Right. The Capricorn in me, for people who are Capricorns out there, the Capricorn in me is more about like getting it done, saying it, resolving it, not wasting time. Like to me, not saying it, that means I'm going to have to like pretend that this is not okay. And then you're going to probably do it again. And I never told you. So then it's going to annoy me even more. And now we wasted whatever amount of time when I could have just said something initially and it could have just been done.
Yep. That passive aggressiveness is not my style. I employ it here and there, but it's just not my style. It stays with me. I'm like, no, I should have told you to avoid this.
Right.
Some people need it. Some people need it for sure.
So how does one stay true to themselves in a society that is trying to mute your innate nature?
Man, that's difficult because, well, it's difficult, but at the same time, you can simplify it. You just got to shut everyone else out. And it becomes... I have this very cool exercise that I learned like years ago. And I actually forgot who was it. I think it was 2 different people that told me this, but I'm not going to credit any of them right now. Let's just say that this is an exercise that I do every now and then whenever I'm unsure about a decision that I'm trying to make. I imagine myself in front of a podium where I'm going to give a speech. And then everyone in the audience is everyone that I think about, care about, have ever loved. Their opinion mattered in any way, shape, or form. So my parents, siblings, my friends, co-workers, anybody that can possibly have an opinion that I may consider. Even people that I haven't seen in years, but I somehow keep in the back of my head. People that have passed, but their opinions are within me. All of them. I visualize all of them. And then I tell them my position. And if one of their opinions, which is really in my head, their opinions are in my head. If one of their opinions makes me question my line of thought, even a little bit, then I'm not really sure. And then I need to think about it more. Once I get to the point where I can tell, like, let's imagine I was gay and I'm going to come out. If I can look into the eyes of my mom and my father and anyone, I can be like, yeah, I'm gay and I love it. Then I'm going to come out. But if I look into my father's eyes and he's like, and I see like a hurt feeling and I feel hurt that he's hurt, then I might not come out.
So you're putting yourself in other people's shoes, basically.
Yes. But this is their opinions, which are really in my head.
Right.
So I can control it, which is the trick. You can control their opinion. Now, you know the way your father thinks, or the way your mother thinks, or the way some friends of yours, you might know how they might go.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to be okay with their opinion. Because that's the trick. I have to be okay with your opinion. Let's say he doesn't like it. Let's say he is hurt. I'm looking at him, and I know he's hurt. As long as I'm not hurt, then I'll come out. Right? Even I'll be okay with all of your opinions, with all of your thoughts, and it won't hurt me that you feel that way. And I'm gonna tell you, oh, okay, well, I'm gay, and that's where I'll come out. This is just the best example I can use. Just an example. Just an example. I'm not coming out, but I'm just saying, and that's the way that I've made like some of the most difficult decisions that I've had in my life, which haven't been that crazy. But I'm just saying, usually that helps me sort of internalize and meditate what really I want. Because sometimes you're not sure. Sometimes you're thinking about something. You're like, not really sure. Well, let's see what the people that have shaped me. Let's see how they might think. In my head, all in my head. I don't talk to them. It's all here. And then I sort of internalize that and make the decision. And that's how I've done it. That little exercise has, to me, can help you get through things. Because that's how you're going to stop other people's opinions from affecting you. First, you have to acknowledge their opinions of the ones that matter. Not fulanito that send you a Instagram, whatever.
Right, not no random.
A comment, whatever. The
really
people that matter. Exactly. People that matter. You know somewhat how they think already. You put them out into the audience and you speak to them. And you see their reactions, visualize it, think about it. And then you make the decision. That's how I've done it.
That's a good one. I never thought about that. With me, I make a lot of drastic decisions.
Okay.
And a lot of it comes from my intention and my intuition. A lot of the times I really don't know for sure that it's going to work out. I'm actually almost possibly sure that it's going to be challenging and intense and really hard.
Yeah.
But there's something within me that feels so strongly that I have to do it. For instance, moving across the country. When I decided to move across the country, I mean, everything was picture perfect, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
I had a good job. I had just gotten a promotion. I had a boyfriend. He was great. My family was here. I had my own apartment. My apartment was beautiful. Like, I had nothing to complain about. But something felt off. Like, I just knew I needed to make a change, like a drastic change.
Okay.
And I remember when I made the decision, I'm like, okay, I know when I tell people, the people that I care about, I know what's gonna be a lot of doubt. So I need to be sure that I want to do this. So I do like the opposite from you.
Okay.
I kind of sit with myself and be sure that what I feel is actually real. So I go with it in my own head. I write about it. I'll do planning, and then I deliver the message to the people that I care about. And I mean, for that particular thing, when I told people I was moving across the country, everyone gave me, and there was not one person that said, Melissa, I think you should do it. It's going to be great. Not one.
Everyone had doubts.
Everyone was like, what are you doing? You're crazy. It's going to be too much. That's scary. Why are you doing it? Like, question after question after
I can imagine.
question. And everything within me was like, no, I'm sure I'm doing this. The worst thing that could happen is that I come back. I'm not going to die. Yeah. So it's going to be okay. I'm going to make it okay. And your intuition and I think your intentions are like number one when you're making decisions.
Absolutely. I agree with that. You should
be assertive with yourself and believe in yourself and what you have. Because the answers are usually within you already.
Absolutely. Intuition is really it.
It's everything. Oof. Intuition is everything. Thank you for listening to part 1. The conversation got too good, so we just had to keep it going. So stay tuned for the next episode for part 2. Thanks for listening.